It's time for another episode of That Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Vincent A. Lanci. For this episode, I sit down with an entrepreneur who joined us back on Season 1, Episode 4. As you can imagine, there's a lot of updates to be heard. For those new to the show, each week on this platform, I interview a different entrepreneur from across the country and around the globe. We have an awesome conversation ahead of us as it is the first Rewind the Clock episode of the season. For Rewind the Clock episodes, I will bring back previous guests as they are continuing to make news headlines and grow their brands. After catching up at lunch and hearing about the growth of this entrepreneur, I knew it was time to bring him back and share his experiences with you all. He has a lot going on and we'll learn all about it, but he introduced his worldwide company, Stratecore Consultants, on the first episode, where they specialize in taking your business to the next level. It's going to be a great one, so allow me to now introduce Darren Andersen. Darren, thank you for joining the show again.
Hey, Vincent, thanks for having me back on, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Would you mind please reintroducing yourself to our listeners and previewing your story without giving away too much of your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Darren Andersen. Originally from New York, but currently living here in sunny Tampa, Florida. Spent my business is Stratecore Consultants. It's about 4 years now that I've ran the company. Started my life, kind of working in the corporate America styled environment. And eventually left that lifestyle to start my own business, which does specialize in business management consulting, and a bunch of other various sectors that we also kind of occupy. But that's pretty much the story in a nutshell.
Well, I appreciate you coming back. Where exactly were you in the corporate world?
So I had worked right out of college. I worked for a company that did labor management consulting, kind of hyper focused in the construction industry. From there, worked with one of my clients. Actually, hired me on to work with them directly. That was over in St. Petersburg with a company called Power Design, and then from there. Had left Power Design and started my own business like a couple weeks thereafter.
Well, I look forward to hearing about the transition and more. And to get going here, Darren, let's revisit the business that you mentioned, Stratecore Consultants, on your first episode.
It has been some time, and obviously it was pre-pandemic related. So, fortunately for us, we have grown, over this course of time. I think COVID had presented, or presents, a lot of different challenges, I think, for everybody in what the new, societal norms are, what the new, from a, person to person basis, but also from a business to business basis. There's a lot of learning things on the fly, I think, since we last spoke. But, fortunately for us, Stratecore works with some of the top sector companies, hyper focused in the construction industry and other areas as well, e-commerce brands and things of that nature too. So I mean, it's been an uphill battle for sure. I think the one thing, as a business owner and entrepreneur, is you can never predict when, but you kind of always have to anticipate a curveball coming at some point. And you kind of have to, be able to, I guess, adjust and reset and tackle the tasks, at the drop of a dime. So, that's definitely something that's still pretty prevalent in my business. I focus a lot on crisis management for my clients. So, a lot of the companies that I work with, the alarms are already going off, when they're needing my services. So, it's a lot of, delivering high quality product, but also being able to pivot and cater it to a lot of my clients' styles. You know what I mean?
I love what you said there. That's great advice for everyone. customize your approach for each customer unless you're McDonald's where you're scaling things like that. It goes a long way, because think about your personal experiences with businesses across your life. Certain ones stick out, and they were probably a good customer touch point experience. Darren, have you begun anything new since season 1? Or if not, what's next for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, since season 1, there's a lot of different things that I have focused on. I would say that, when I first started my business, when I first started Stratecore, I was, obviously a business owner for the first time. And I considered myself a small business owner. But, as my journey has gone on, and just, what really interests and drives me, I come to learn that I'm a little bit more entrepreneurial than I would say a business owner. I would classify myself as an entrepreneur because, I have a lot of different things going on simultaneously. I genuinely enjoy, hobbies of mine that, can become revenue producing things, but also, if you call them some people call them side hustles. Sure. You can call it a side hustle. But there's a lot of different things that I'm doing in terms of investments, a lot of, pretty heavily correlated in the stock market. I've been watching, a lot of different trends, if you will. So I invest and give advice in terms of the stock market, or the opinions, I should say, in the stock market that I have. But other things as well. I mean, I've been the sports card industry is really huge right now. It's
I was going to say, if you want to touch on that point, I think that may resonate with a lot of people out there, because you're not the first person I've heard as creating the side hustle, as you said, doing so.
Yeah. I mean, it's an overwhelmingly booming industry. And it's a situation where simple supply and demand. I mean, that there's really not much product that is out there. It's not, sitting on shelves like years past. It's kind of like a perfect storm that is kind of correlated in that industry that I'm in. But it's you look at the state of that sector. I mean, there are cards that I used to collect as a kid that I never would have in my wildest dreams thought that they'd be selling for, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, that's the case of the industry right now. I mean, the top card, I think, in the sports card industry just recently sold at auction for $5.2 million. So, I mean, jeez. A piece of cardboard selling for $5.2 million is should get anybody's attention. You know what I mean? So it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is an industry that is booming. There's a lot of money to be made into it if you know what you're doing and you know what you're looking for. And for people that get enjoyment out of that sector, or are looking for a side hustle to kind of bring more revenue in the door. It's definitely something that I would encourage people to take a look at. And it's definitely something that Stratecore Consultants has actually tapped into as well. A lot of acquiring assets. I mean, because they are technically considered assets. They're assets of the company. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a great industry to get into if people are looking for different ways or fun, a fun hobby that is also a revenue producing one for sure.
Yeah, and with COVID, we had to transition and find other ways to make money. And I now look into COVID a little more. Let's talk about how Stratecore Consultants was affected by COVID. You mentioned you experienced some growth. If you wouldn't mind resonating with our listeners a bit about your business owner experiences.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, fortunately for me, we saw a little bit of a spike in business during the pandemic, and it was more so a situation where my previous company that I had worked for, in addition to other companies in the industry, were forced to let go and lay off of some people that worked with the company. And there were people out there that, had 15, 20, 30 years of experience in their industries. And, unfortunately, they were looking for new employment. So what was good for me was, my clients that I currently service, they were hiring through the pandemic. So a lot of these people that, I have known through the years of just kind of keeping in touch with them, if you will, or just kind of checking in with them. I was able to, place them with the companies that I do the talent acquisition for, and that was really rewarding for me because, not only just from a financial standpoint for the business, obviously that's always good to produce revenue for, your business, but it was really good to solve a problem for people that I knew were A+ styled players in the industry. You know what I mean? They were people that I knew, had they had a family they obviously have to provide for, you know what I mean? But they also had the skill set and they had the right attitude to succeed in the industry. So it was a very easy sale for me to really kind of, put them in front of my clients because I knew they would get hired. But it was also very rewarding for me to be able to solve a problem for, quite a few households and families that were nervous about, well, what's going to happen? What happens next now because of COVID? I don't, I'm unemployed and I need to find employment to provide for my family. So it was really, really, really exciting for me and rewarding for me as an individual, but also for our business as well.
Definitely has to be rewarding because you're now in this leadership position where you're giving advice that's game-changing advice, changing the lives of these people. We're going to look past across your life now. What was the best piece of advice that you were ever given, and who is it from?
The best piece of advice that I was ever given. Oh man, I mean, there's been a bunch, but I would say that the best piece of advice ever given to me was something my grandfather told me. He always used to tell me that it was kind of a two-part thing. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. So, if you're going to essentially, he would say, if you're going to step into a different realm or whatever you're doing with your time and whoever's getting your time, make sure they get the best of you. You know what I mean? Don't go 50% on anything, go 100% on anything you do and wherever your life turns you down. And also too, I mean, obviously, as cliche as it sounds, the other part of that was, but always remember that nothing's more important than, your family and your morals.
Absolutely.
So succeed in this industry, succeed in life. And for me, for my business, that's what I look at it as, is succeeding in, this avenue that I'm turning down, but also not forgetting, what my morals and principles are. And obviously always understanding that my family at the end of the day will always come first to, you know, anything. So, I mean, that's probably the best advice I've ever received because it just resonates with me every single day anyway.
If you follow your morals, follow your passions in life, the sky is the limit, because that would mean that you're truly happy. You're not trying to do something you don't want to do, something that's not you. You're following your heart. But I'm going to ask you for one more piece of advice for our community of entrepreneurs here, Darren.
Sure.
What is one book you can recommend to our community? What is the title? Who's the author? And talk about it.
Man, there are so many. But one that I just started that I'm actually really, really excited to kind of dig into a little bit more. Can't Hurt Me. Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds. It's by David Goggins. And basically it's a really, really, really inspiring story. I guess to give you an overview without giving, away what it is, because again, I'm only about 20% through, but it's really, really cool. It's about how to transform, your life, push past any sort of adversity or, pain or suffering or anything like that to, ultimately attain and flourish, attain your full potential and, thrive. And I think that it really resonates with the entrepreneur, and it's really resonated with me to start, because it just shows that hey, everybody has a story, you know what I mean, and everybody has um, exciting times, but there's also challenging times that can either break us, or they can we could defy them and achieve a new level of success, a new level of just attainability of success. And I think it's an amazing book. It's a large one, though. I mean, it's a fairly big book. There's about 400 pages in the book. But it's really, really good so far, and I'm really excited digging into it. But it definitely pulls on a lot of different things. It'll pull on your heartstrings, just learning the story, and but also too, it lets you do a little bit of reflection in your own personal life and understand the things that you have to overcome, or the things that you have overcome to become the individual that you are, or become the individual that you want to become. So it's definitely something I would strongly suggest people to pick up and read.
Great suggestion. Everything in this business and life really is the power of your mind. You have to be able to control it, and you have to feed it the right information. That seems like a great source. But Darren, as you remember, it's normally time for the Spotlight story. But on Rewind the Clock episodes, I'd like to give my guests the opportunity to shout out and bring light to another entrepreneur's endeavors. Who do you want to show some love to today?
Oh, you know what? Actually, this is relatively new, but really exciting for us. My girlfriend Allie, she is also kind of working on her own for herself, but she just got awarded best salon in Tampa here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, South Tampa Magazine. It was a whole voting thing. They got voted #1 salon in Tampa, and they're only a year and a half old, so it was pretty cool for them
Absolutely.
to accomplish that. So we've been doing a little bit of celebrating, for her, for that accomplishment. But yeah, I mean, she's completely killing it in her business and entrepreneurial journeys as well, and definitely deserves some recognition and spotlight.
Well, all right. Well, then I'll have to ask. Let's provide everybody how to find out about this salon. Is there social media? Is there a website?
Yeah. So if you want to look for them on Instagram, it is Elizabeth Dane Salon Tampa. If you're looking for their website, elizabethdane.com, it is their website. And yeah, I mean they're definitely, obviously they're the best in Tampa. So if you're local to the area and looking for a salon or anything like that, check them out for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Again, congratulations to her. And I want to thank you for coming back on, Darren. I know the listeners are going to love your episodes, see all the value in your show. I love how you showed that growth is possible if you dedicate yourself to your company. You're saying 4 or 5 years now of following the dream, and you're doing it. I love the quote from your grandfather, and of course, the book on mindset. I'm huge on that. We now are going to hop into the last word. And I also do this on a mental health break because I want the listeners to really get to know the guests on all of my platforms. What would you like to share before we sign off?
I would say, these are obviously challenging times for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are at a forefront of having to make a decision because of the pandemic, if their business is going to be able to survive, or if it has survived. They're probably in a situation where a lot of them might need an injection of capital, you know what I mean, or they're facing some adversity and trying to get back to neutral. Don't overanalyze it. Understand what the goals were when you first started out on this journey. You know what I mean? If you're currently in that situation, fortunately for us, I'm not, but I know a lot of my friends that are in this sector are in that realm right now, have that problem right now. And it's I could give them any advice, it's, follow what your true passion is, because, it's bound to turn around sooner or later. We're in a situation now where I think we're opening up a lot more across the country and things like that, and people are getting back to, I guess, whatever would be normal, after the pandemic. But understand that you're not alone, and never be afraid to seek help or guidance, from somebody that's in the industry. But also to just remember what your goals were before it started, and what you want to accomplish, and try not to overanalyze.
Very amazingly said. An excellent last word. Would you mind now, please, taking the time to tell the listeners how to find you, how to request your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So Darren Andersen, on Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Facebook but Darren _Andersen on Instagram. StratecoreConsultants.com is the website as well. And Twitter, Darren _Andersen as well. I'm pretty much on every platform with that handle, Darren _Andersen. So if you need to contact me, feel free. Any platform. I'm pretty regularly on all of them throughout the day, and definitely would love to connect.
Be sure to check out his website, reach out to him. He is here to help. And it is also social media time for the show. And we're on whichever platform you like to use. We're at A Mental Health Break on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And on Twitter, we're at Podcasts by Lanci. So you get updates from all of my shows. Of course, my handles are at Vincent A. Lanci for all social media and YouTube. And my website is vincentalanci.com. If you check out my books, DM me. I would love to hear what you think. We have Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health, Left for Dead, The Story of Redemption, and How to Transform Your Mindset When the Norm is Changed. All are on my website now. And as always, I will end the show with a quote that inspired me, and know it will for you too. This one is from Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week on That Entrepreneur Show.